Hello there and welcome back into the Direct Selling Accelerator podcast. My name is Sam Hind and today we've got a bit of a fun but quirky episode for you. We're going to take a little bit of a detour here and we've decided to title this episode WTF. Now, we had a really good laugh about this as a team because this episode is all about all the things that are going wrong right now and there seem to be a lot of them. So I just wanted to kind of call it out in the open. But Greg was telling me about a really funny joke during our team meeting a few weeks ago about a child whose mum had just joined Facebook and said, "Mum's just joined Facebook, WTF," in a post. And the mum sees the post and says, "Honey, what does WTF mean?" And the child says, "Welcome to Facebook." So we thought that would be a perfect title for this episode as we jump in and talk about all of the things that are going wrong right now. And there are lots of them. Why? Mostly because of Facebook's new pages experience. Yes, when Facebook rolls new things out, bad things happen. So let's have a little bit of a chat about what is actually going on right now. And I'm not just going to kind of leave you hanging. I wouldn't do that to you. I'm going to give you some tips to help you with this as well. So what's going wrong? What do you need to be aware of? Because, hey, sometimes we see these things go wrong and think, is it me? What have I done wrong? Is it because I've broken something? No, most of the time that is not at all the case. And so I want to walk you through a few of the little things that you might see happening right now. And if you see any of these glitches, you can be rest assured to know that, do you know what? It's likely it's just a bit of a bug and it will sort itself out. Let's jump on in. We're going to have a little bit of a chat about what we're seeing happening right now. And most importantly, when you listen to this episode, it could be weeks, months, days old, years old perhaps. And I just want you to see the patterns. So it's not so much about the things that are going on right now. It's about understanding what are some of the common patterns. So if you are seeing issues happening, you can kind of apply a little bit of knowledge to this situation now and go, what did Sam tell me about this stuff? What are the things I can do to kind of cross-check? Just check to see if it's me, if it's Facebook, if it's something else, so that I can be confident to keep moving forward. Okay, let's talk first of all about why we have issues with Facebook and Meta in general. Now, many years ago, not all that long ago really, but many years ago in Facebook terms, Facebook used to test everything before it rolled it out to you. So you would get it in almost perfect form by the time it came out on your end. That's not how things work anymore. Facebook now, or I should say Meta now, beta tests everything on you, which means it rolls things out slowly. And some things roll out a lot faster than others. You'll notice when changes happen with Meta, so on Facebook or Instagram or any of their own platforms, they don't come out instantly to everybody. They don't just throw them out there. Very, very few things ever happen that way with Facebook anymore. Most of them happen slowly and get drip fed over time to various locations. So that's why you'll see even sometimes some countries will be delivered certain things and other countries not. A really good example of this was the plus minus you would have seen appearing underneath certain posts a little while back. And that wasn't delivered to everybody. That was actually a testing process that Facebook used to ask you to up or down rate particular posts. It's what it used to try and get an idea of what people wanted to see more and less of. And so it used this as a way to learn a little bit more about its audience. But it only did this with certain accounts. And interestingly enough, it comes and goes still. Every now and again, I'll come to my Facebook feed and I'll see this little plus minus appear. And I know that most people don't have this. It just gets randomly thrown out at different times. So what do we need to know about changes? The first thing you need to know is that the reason sometimes you feel like it's you and it's not Facebook is because you think you're the only one with it because it looks that way. So when you are experiencing a problem and other people aren't, that doesn't mean it's you. It might mean that you've been delivered a particular change that others haven't yet got, or vice versa. Maybe they've got a change that you don't yet have. I remember when the avatar feature came out, the one where you could turn your face into a little cartoon character that is now the norm and everyone has it. I remember it coming out and watching everybody posting these to their feeds. And I swear it felt like 3 months before I ever got this. I was like, at what point is this going to get delivered to me? Not that I was excited to use it, let's face it. I was just curious to see how long Facebook would take to roll it out. Then the Facebook Pages Experience notification came out. So I was there for the update, fully aware of what was going on, as were most Facebook marketers and trainers. The information was thrown out there. We were all prepared for this new Pages Experience. Over 2 years ago, no, a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago, we found out that Facebook was going to roll out this new Pages Experience. We knew all of the things that were supposed to go along with that. There were all of these things that Facebook said to look out for, the fact that likes were going to be removed and there were going to be only followers and you were going to have your own news feed, and all of this stuff was announced. So everyone's bracing ready. And nothing happened. Ever so slowly, pages were given this change. But when I say ever so slowly, I mean it's taken over a year and a half for it to roll this change out. It's only in the last month that majority of pages have been delivered this change. The reason is because as they started rolling this out and beta testing this, of course, at this point, this is where people started to see the glitches and the bugs occurring. Now, as they've ironed those out, they've rolled it out to more people. But needless to say, over the last month and a half, couple of months, they've done the bulk masses. So most pages have changed now. If you haven't got the new Pages Experience yet and you're waiting for it, I would say in the next couple of weeks, 2 to 3 weeks from this episode airing, you'll probably see that's happened to every page. Now, there's a few things to be aware of. As this change rolls out, we are seeing some major bugs occurring. Now, again, I want you to look at the patterns here, because even though when you listen to this episode, the Pages Experience by this point might be old news and there might be other updates coming, other changes happening. Maybe they've totally got rid of the new Pages Experience by the time you're listening to this. I don't know. Anything is possible. Oh my gosh, did I just say that out loud? I hope not, because my goodness, there's been so much adjusting to this change. But my point being this, the patterns stay the same. And the patterns are this: as Facebook or Meta rolls a change out, there are going to be some little bugs, some little teething issues that we need to work through. So the first thing to do is just stay calm. I loved listening actually to beautiful Jasmine Star just recently, and she told the story about her dad, how he used to say to her, "I want you to be Gumby." And I love that concept. I don't know if you remember Gumby, the little cartoon character, the green one that was kind of like all super bendy. I don't even know that he was a cartoon. But anyway, Gumby, I'm sure he was. I'm thinking out loud here. This is what we call Sam Live. You should know that these podcast episodes are all ad lib, so have fun because anything could happen. But Gumby was this really bendy cartoon character. And I love how Jasmine talks about this story with her dad. And she talks about how as she went into business, he said, "I want you to be Gumby. I want you to bend and not break." And she makes this really good point, and it really resonated with me, that business owners or anyone that wants to grow a business of any description, be it small or big, you've got to be bendy, okay? Because things get thrown at you and you've got to be ready to adjust and bend and change and pivot and move. Everyone hates that word pivot. I know it's been so overused in the last couple of years, but it's true. Be Gumby, be a bit bendy. And so when Facebook throws these little bugs and glitches and teething issues at you, you can get really mad and frustrated, or you can be Gumby and you can kind of bend and adjust. The main thing you need to know is that everything's safe. And there are a few things that you can do to ensure that that is the case. So what are some of the little glitches and bugs that we're seeing at the moment? All right, I literally had a little catch up with my team today and we're like, what are all the problems that we've been seeing lately? And of course, within our groups, if you're not a member, by the way, of our free Facebook group, Social Media for Direct Sellers with Greg and Sam, we love to invite you on in there. We'll pop it in the show notes. But the main thing is that within that group, we're getting you to tell us about those challenges and we're supporting you and troubleshooting them as well. On top of that, we're also doing Facebook updates regularly, and and some extra free trainings in there too. So it's a really good place to be if you want to help grow your business on social media and you want, a free community to join to help you with that. We'd love to serve you in there. So in that group, we've been seeing, of course, a lot of issues just lately. And so we went through and we did a bit of a brain dump of all of the things that we'd seen happening. And so here's just a few of them. The first was that we've noticed for some people, and a lot of it is the connection with groups, but for some people, they're unable now to access things like the guides tab on a mobile device within groups. Sure, it's on a PC, but they can't get it on a mobile device. We've seen a massive amount of scheduled posts within groups not firing, and then even scheduled posts on pages not firing as well. I do have a little troubleshoot for you with this, so we'll talk to you about that in a moment. You'll notice groups have moved and changed as well. Funnily enough, not every one of my groups has received this change, and it'll probably be the same for you too. The change is that there's now a new side pane. Instead of having the top pane up the top that gives you all of your menu options at the top, it's shifted over to the left-hand side. And along with that shift, some things have disappeared, they've moved, and things like even your group cover image are almost non-existent. It's just like this tiny little square now instead of being this great big thing at the top of your group. So lots of things there have adjusted and changed. We've also noticed that as the new Pages experience is rolling out, things like connections to third-party apps seem to be disconnecting and doing some funky things. This has got to do with permissions, so we're going to talk you through this as well in just a moment. There was another change that we noticed just in the last couple of weeks too, which was a really big one. I just want to warn you about this one because to me this is actually a really big problem if it goes unnoticed. And that is that simple settings seem to be resetting. So one of the simple settings that we noticed got reset recently was within our groups. There's a feature that got released, I'm going to say around about a year ago, which is anonymous posting. This is a feature that initially, when it was released into groups, it was actually defaulted to be turned off unless you chose for it to be turned on. Anonymous posting allows anyone within a group to create a post within that group without their name attached to it, meaning it was completely anonymous. Now, look, I don't know about you, but for me, this is dangerous territory if you're not monitoring your groups really closely. For me, I don't love it unless the group is relevant for this sort of posting. For example, it was originally created for things like groups that were health groups, where someone might want to post a health concern or something similar without everyone knowing who it was that posted it. But it's not really good for a location where you may end up getting complaints or even people bullying one another. That sort of thing can be problematic. For us within our groups, of course, we want to know who's posting. We want to get to know you, and we don't want it to be anonymous because we don't want to encourage people to post something that maybe they don't want their name attached to. My philosophy is if you don't want your name attached to it, it shouldn't go online. So one thing that has happened just in the last couple of weeks we've noticed is many of our groups, that default for anonymous posting to be turned off is flicked on. So it wasn't until we went in and had a look at the settings in one of our groups that we accidentally stumbled across this. So lucky. And we discovered that every one of our groups suddenly had anonymous posting switched on. Now, we also noticed that as we turned them off, a couple of them flicked back on again. So again, there's some funky little bugs going on, and I just suggest that every now and again, you just jump in and check those settings in your groups because Facebook likes to make some little adjustments and changes, and with those sometimes come little teething issues and bugs. And one of those, of course, is the anonymous posting. So just if it's something you don't want turned on, it's a personal preference, just make sure that you've gone in and checked that anonymous posting is not an option. Another thing that we noticed a couple of weeks ago was all of a sudden there was a 24-hour period where we literally couldn't post to any groups. Now, at first I thought it was just me. I was like, am I going crazy here? So I tried from mobile device, from tablet, from laptop to Mac. I did everything. And I couldn't post to any group. It wasn't until I checked in with somebody else that I realized it wasn't just me and there was a massive issue. So sometimes it's asking the question of those around you, hey, are you having a problem with this? Again, I'm going to give you a few little troubleshooting things that you can do in just a moment to help you with these. What else have we got? Reels have just appeared in groups, but along with that, we're noticing that some people right now are unable to post Reels to their business pages. So again, as things roll out, some other things break. You're just going to have to sit tight. What else have I got here? We had anonymous posting, can't post to groups, Reels, and not being able to post from Insta. So Reels, not being able to share Reels from Instagram across to Facebook. For some people, that seems to be broken and not working properly as well. So the good news is that there are some things that you can do. And I'm just going to walk you through, what have I got here? 5 little quick tips just to help you to troubleshoot these things. Just to know, is it me? Is it Meta? What's going on here? So the first of those are just some things that you can do to ensure that you are minimizing the chance of having any bugs. So the first way that you can do that, especially if you're noticing some weird glitchy things going on, is go in and check that your app on your mobile device, if that's what you're using, is up to date. Now, don't just check Facebook. Also check Messenger, Meta, if you're using the Meta app. I do highly recommend that if you are using your mobile device, that you're using things like Business Suite if you're trying to manage your business page. So I'm just pulling it up on my phone now, and if you're not sure what Business Suite is, it's a really simple free app provided by Facebook that takes you straight to your business page. So you don't have to navigate through your personal profile. Saves a lot of time. It looks like a little blue and white Pac-Man. So my recommendation would be to download that. But you want to make sure that these things are all up to date. So whichever apps you are using that get you into Facebook, whether it's the Creator Studio, whether it's Meta, whether it's Business Suite, Instagram, Facebook, whatever you're using on your mobile device, don't just update one, update them all. Because if you've got one that's out of date and the other one's up to date, you may notice issues just there with that. So keep your apps up to date on your mobile device and your PC. The next one is, if it's not working from mobile, try using a computer and make sure that you're using a Chrome browser. We also notice a lot of difference between browsers, and simply changing the browser that you're using can adjust or eliminate the problem. So troubleshooting wise, update the apps on your mobile devices, then try a computer and make sure that you're using a Chrome browser. If you're still experiencing issues, the next thing to do is just ask a couple of people around you, particularly people who are using similar methods to you. So what I mean by that is someone who's got a group that they're active in or a business page. So just check in with a couple of people and see what they're doing. Of course, if you're in the social media for direct sellers group, it's a perfect place to post and ask the question, because you've got a bunch of other people in there who are all doing the same thing as you, growing their direct selling business on social media. So ask the question, even share a screenshot so that people can jump in and provide some thoughts and advice. And you'll probably find someone else has had the same issue and worked out what's going on. The next little tip is potentially a little bit frustrating, but I'm going to throw it out there. If you've done those things I've just said and you're still experiencing problems, I've written down, if all else fails, try again tomorrow. And this is the default, because here's the thing. Often these are bugs. You've got to report it. So please always report it, because you can't assume someone else has done it. But if you see an issue, report it to Facebook and just try again tomorrow. The chances are it will have rectified itself by then, or more to the point, the developer team have rectified it on your behalf. So if all else fails, try again tomorrow. The next 2 things I just want to give you, these 2 tips here, are more related to protecting you and making sure that you're not losing any of your hard work or any of your assets. So the first one of these is, if you get the new pages experience in particular, or you get any major change as well that rolls out, maybe you see a big change to your groups or your business page, who knows what comes down the track, but here's something you should always do. If you go in and you notice a big change has rolled out for you, go in and check all of your connected apps. Please check them, because sometimes when these changes roll out, privacy settings change, and this requires Facebook to get a reapproval from you to allow those apps, those third-party apps, to have access to your account. If you don't go in and check them, then anything that you may be expecting to be connected may very well be broken. This often happens with third-party scheduling apps, or if you're using any other app that you require on your business page or within your groups. So go and check those connections, and don't just check your page, check your groups as well. One little hot tip we can give you though, if you are using a scheduling tool like Auxano Social that will schedule posts to your Facebook, Instagram, your groups, etc. The great news is that if scheduled posts don't go, these apps or these programs, ours most definitely will do this, will tell you when something didn't go. So you don't simply lose the post, which is what will often happen if you aren't using a third-party scheduling tool. The post will just disappear into the never, never. However, if you're using an app like Auxano Social, it will report to you that the post didn't go so you can reschedule it for another time. We can tell you that firsthand we experienced this problem recently, and where we might have lost dozens and dozens of posts over a 48-hour period. Instead, we were able to go in, see what didn't go, and readjust the time and get those things back out. It is a really good way to ensure that you've got a little bit of a backup plan so you don't lose anything. What I will do as well, if you would love to check out Auxano Social, if you haven't seen it yet, and you would love access to a cool scheduling tool that's got over 15,000 pieces of ready-made content for you, an awesome content calendar where we're giving you suggestions of what to post every day, and then the ability to not only create amazing content either on Canva within our app or yourself, you can upload your own images. This awesome tool allows you to schedule to all your platforms, to Facebook, to your groups, Instagram, even to your Pinterest. So we'd love to invite you to come and check it out. And we've got a free 2-week trial that we're offering for a limited time, a little gift from us to you to come in and check out our awesome tool, Auxano Social. So if you want to check that out, I'd love to invite you to accept this free gift. We'll pop it in the show notes for you so you can check that out. The very last tip here, though, just as we wrap up, is one that I think is probably the most important tip I could ever give you when it comes to the security of your social media. Please, if you've never done this, please, did I say please? Please set up two-factor authentication. Why does this matter so much? Let me put it this way. Most people don't stop to think about how many images, friend connections, messages, etc. they have on their personal profile, going back years, sometimes over 10 years, depending on when you first joined Facebook. Now think about this. How would it impact you if you lost all of that overnight? Do you know how easy it is to lose that information? If you haven't set up two-factor authentication, your Facebook profile is a sitting duck. Not only that, and I don't mean to freak you out, but this is that important. Not only that, but any group, any business page that you are connected to, whether it be yours or not, is also up for grabs. Think about it this way. If you're an admin on a business page and someone hacks your personal profile, they now have access to the admin rights of that business page and any groups. What does that mean? That means they could essentially boot all other admins and moderators out of the groups or the business pages and claim them for themselves. Now, I don't want to freak you out, but I kind of do because I really want you to set up two-factor authentication because this will help protect your account from hacking. What two-factor authentication essentially means is that anytime that anyone tries to log into your account from any new device, you included, you will need to enter a new code. Now, I love the connection that Facebook gave me the opportunity to do with Authy. It's a simple free app. The beauty of it is that without my mobile phone, no one can log into my Facebook from anywhere. They also can't connect any third-party apps like Auxano Social, for example, without my mobile phone. That code changes every 30 seconds. So the great thing is that it has to be done on the spot at the time of logging in. I highly recommend setting up some form, and there's a number of different ways that you can do two-factor authentication, but please do this because not only is your personal profile up for grabs, which I know you don't want, but any group, any page, anything you've got connected to that is also then going to be potentially on the line. So go do that right now if you haven't done it before. But just a little reminder, if you would love to get in and check out Auxano Social and you'd love to try a 2-week free trial, we'd love to invite you on in. We're going to put the link for you in the show notes. The main thing though is just remember this. There are always going to be bugs and glitches. There are always going to be teething issues. Facebook is constantly adapting. Meta is constantly adapting. They're rolling out new things all the time. Many of those things are going to be for your benefit, and I highly recommend that you use the new features that appear. But are you going to get frustrated or are you going to be Gumby? I want you to be Gumby. So that's the end of this episode. Really quick one for you, but a few little hot tips there along the way. We thought this would be fun to record just to kind of let you know about some of those challenges that might be going on and remind you that it's not always you. Probably most of the time it's not you. So that's it from me today. Have an amazing day. Go set up that 2-factor authentication. Go and get your 2-week free trial of Auxano Social. And that's it from us today. We look forward to seeing you on the podcast again next week. Thank you so much for joining me. Look after yourselves. God bless. Bye for now. Thank you for joining us in this episode of the Direct Selling Accelerator podcast. If you love listening and you found that this was helpful for your direct selling business, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also check out the recommended video that's popped up on your screen right here. I look forward to seeing you again next time. Bye for now.